hands resist him is a cursed painting, one that has haunted the minds of those who dare to look at it. Created by artist Bill Stoneham in 1972, it depicts a young boy and a lifeless doll standing eerily before a glass pane door, their figures pressed against it. But what truly terrifies are the hundreds of disembodied hands that press against the door, their fingers splayed in unnatural, desperate ways. The legend surrounding this painting is unsettling. It's said that at night, when the world is silent and the darkness wraps around the room, the figures in the painting move. The boy's eyes seem to follow you, and the hands begin to twitch, scratching against the glass as if they long to escape. Some whisper that the characters within the frame even leave the painting entirely, walking into the room to terrorize anyone nearby. The painting, now locked away in various collectors' homes, has claimed a reputation for causing unease, nightmares, and inexplicable events.
They say it happened on a calm, clear afternoon, an unsuspecting scuba diver plunging into the depths of a peaceful lake, unaware of the nightmare lurking above. As he drifted beneath the surface, an aerial water bomber, a monstrous helicopter carrying a massive bucket, descended over the lake, ready to scoop up gallons of water for the raging wildfire miles away. The diver never saw it coming. In a single moment, his tranquil underwater world turned into a chaotic torrent. The water bomber's bucket plunged down, capturing not only the lake's water, but also the diver, pulling him skyward with a force so brutal he was stripped of breath and bearings. He was yanked into the open air, disoriented, tangled within a swirling mass of water that blinded and suffocated. Some say his screams were drowned out by the chopper's roar. Carried for miles, helpless, he was finally dumped, along with the payload, over the inferno. Firefighters on the ground watched in horror as not just water, but a twisted figure fell from the sky, crashing onto the burning earth. A scuba diver in full gear, limbs contorted in a final futile attempt at escape. The myth has been debunked, dismissed as impossible, a dark tale born from the fevered imaginations of those looking for thrills. But those who fight fires in the wild will still glance up nervously when the bomber passes overhead, haunted by the thought of what might be lurking unseen in that churning mass of water, a fleeting echo of a nightmare that might just be real. the small, quiet town of Quitman, Arkansas, an unsettling tale haunts the streets. The legend of Jarrell Bettis, more chillingly known as the Dog Boy. Locals whisper that Jarrell was no ordinary child. With an eerie fascination for cruelty, he terrorized the town, his twisted grin and deadened eyes enough to send shivers down anyone's spine. It's said that as a boy, he would capture stray dogs and cats, dragging them into his family's decrepit house, where unsettling cries and strange noises echoed through the night. As he grew older, his dark nature only deepened. Jarrell's obsession with pain extended to his own parents. Neighbours claimed they saw him towering over his elderly mother, his hands clenched, his eyes wild with some unspeakable rage. His father, a once strong man, was seen bruised and frail, unable to escape the torment inflicted by his own son. Shadows would flicker at the windows, figures moving in unnatural ways, and rumours spread that Jarrell was more than a man, something twisted, something monstrous. One night, the house fell silent. No screams, no shadowy figures, only an oppressive stillness. Some say Jarrell vanished, others claim he still lingers in Quitman, watching from the dark, his cold gaze fixed on anyone who dares to remember. And when the moon is high, they say you can feel his presence, a chilling shadow creeping closer, a memory of pure, unhinged malice lurking in the quiet streets of Quitman, waiting, forever haunted by the Dog Boy. In the dense, mist-laden forests of North America, an unsettling figure roams, Bigfoot, or as the natives call him, Sasquatch. Towering at nearly 8 feet tall, this monstrous ape-like creature lurks in the shadows, a spectre of nature's wildest secrets. For centuries, stories of his terrifying encounters have spread, each tale more harrowing than the last. Hunters, campers, and wanderers alike speak of colossal footprints embedded in the earth, prints so massive no human could leave them. The chilling evidence, cast in mud and shadow, hints at something far beyond human. But Bigfoot isn't just a rumour in these parts. On cold, silent nights, the forest transforms. The usual hum of wildlife fades, replaced by an eerie silence, as though the trees themselves are holding their breath. Then, through the darkness, comes a low, guttural howl, a sound so deep and raw it seems to pierce through the soul, the unmistakable call of Sasquatch. His presence is felt before he's ever seen, a heavy, brooding shadow in the night, stalking, watching, waiting. Those unlucky enough to catch a glimpse report a creature cloaked in thick, matted fur, eyes glinting with a primal intelligence, yet filled with an unsettling, almost human understanding. His hulking frame moves with unnerving agility, slipping between trees like a ghost, his piercing gaze locking with his prey before vanishing into the underbrush. As he disappears, a foul, musky odour lingers, a reminder that Bigfoot was there, a silent warning for anyone daring enough to tread deeper. Some say he's a guardian of the wilderness, others a harbinger of doom, but all agree Bigfoot is no myth, and in the dark heart of the forest he waits, forever watching, his silent silent depths of Bradley Woods near Lincolnshire, a dark figure roams, the Black Lady of Bradley Woods, a spectre draped in endless mourning. She appears at twilight, her form shrouded in a flowing black gown that seems to absorb the very light around her. Her face is pale and sorrowful, framed by a long, dark veil that hides her eyes, but reveals a silent, haunting grief etched across her ghostly features. Legend says she was once a young woman, a mother whose husband went off to war, leaving her and their infant alone. But one terrible night, soldiers stormed the village, stealing her child and leaving her desolate. Consumed by a profound, unyielding sorrow, she wandered into the woods, where her wails of despair echoed through the trees. Now, her restless spirit haunts the forest, forever searching for the child stolen from her, an eternity bound to her endless mourning. Those who have seen the Black Lady say she moves without sound, gliding over the forest floor, her black dress trailing like smoke. Her presence brings a chilling, bone-deep cold, and her mournful cries pierce the night, carrying a sadness so intense it leaves an ache in the hearts of all who hear it. Villagers warn against approaching her, for those who venture too close feel an icy hand grip their shoulder, a desperate, lingering hold, as though she's begging for help. Some believe that if you call out to her, she will turn to you, lifting her veil to reveal hollow, grief-stricken eyes that seem to draw you into her despair. Those who meet her gaze are said to be marked by sorrow, plagued by visions of loss and shadowed by misfortune. To this day, locals avoid Bradley Woods at dusk, lest they encounter the Black Lady and her relentless sorrow, a tragic figure bound forever to her haunting search for the child she lost. In the dark hours of night, when the world falls silent, a chilling urban legend creeps into the minds of those who've heard it. The tale of the black-eyed children. These sinister figures, resembling children aged between 6 and 16, have been reported on doorsteps, in parking lots, along deserted roadsides, and even knocking on car windows. Their pale skin and soulless black eyes, unmistakable and unforgettable. They appear vulnerable, lost, perhaps even in need of help, but there's something undeniably wrong about them. The stories are always the same. A lone person is going about the night when there's an unexpected knock. Upon opening the door, they find two children standing in the shadows, heads tilted down, hands clasped tightly. They speak softly, their voices eerily calm, asking to come inside, pleading to be let in. Please, we're lost, they whisper. We need to use your phone. Let us in. An inexplicable dread seeps into the air, an instinctive warning not to trust these children. Their presence feels wrong, alien. The unfortunate souls who've encountered them describe a rising terror, a sensation so primal it makes the hair on the back of their necks stand. These children will persistently ask to be let in, growing more insistent with each refusal, their voices slipping from gentle to unnervingly demanding. The true horror, however, lies in their eyes, pitch black orbs, empty of any warmth, life, or humanity. Once the blackness of their gaze is noticed, the fear becomes inescapable. Witnesses describe an overwhelming urge to shut the door, to flee, as if staring into those eyes could drain one's very soul. Some unlucky individuals have reported letting the children inside, only to be overcome by feelings of despair and dread. Their homes feel darker, colder, and they report experiencing nightmares and a constant feeling of being watched. Those who survive such encounters claim their lives are never the same, haunted by sickness, misfortune, and a sense of something unseen lurking just beyond their vision. Legend has it that the black-eyed children are not children at all, but creatures of something older and darker, a malevolent force cloaked in the innocence of youth. They cannot enter unless invited, yet they possess a strange hypnotic pull, as if they can bend their victims' wills to their own. Those who encounter the black-eyed children speak of them in hushed voices, sharing only vague details, fearful of summoning them back by remembering too clearly. And for those who live alone, beware of unexpected knocks on your door late at night. Because if you ever hear a soft, insistent voice asking to be let in, resist the urge to open the door. Turn off the lights, stay quiet, and pray they leave before you catch a glimpse of their hollow, black eyes staring through the darkness, waiting. In hushed tones and whispered warnings, parents tell the terrifying tale of the Blue Star tattoo. This urban legend claims that beneath the guise of innocent, temporary tattoos lurks a deadly trap, a means of luring children into a nightmare from which they might never wake. Stories circulate of these small, colourful tattoos, often with a single bright blue star, handed out near schools, parks, or community centres. They look harmless, playful even, but these seemingly cheerful designs hide something dark. According to the legend, these tattoos aren't just stickers. They're laced with LSD, designed to seep into a child's skin upon contact, triggering powerful and horrifying hallucinations. The children are left defenceless, their minds plunged into vivid, chaotic visions as the drug takes hold, warping reality into terrifying shapes and colours. Rumours say the drug leaves children not just disoriented, but addicted, trapped in a cycle of hallucination and despair. Some tales are even darker, warning that children who come in contact with the Blue Star tattoo are never the same, scarred by visions they can't shake, haunted by shadows only they can see. Parents and teachers pass on the warning: if your child comes home with an unfamiliar tattoo, wash it off immediately and seek help. The danger, they say, is real, spreading unseen, like a predator preying on innocence. To this day, the Blue Star tattoo legend continues to instill fear, a sinister story to remind children that sometimes the things that look harmless hold the darkest secrets. And with each new telling, the shadow of the Blue Star spreads, its tale of silent terror lingering like a warning in the back of every parent's mind.
years of Spanish folklore lies a chilling legend about the Castilian lisp, a haunting echo that whispers through the language itself. According to the tale, centuries ago, there was a Spanish king whose tongue bore a strange affliction. His speech was marked by an unnatural lisp, a soft but chilling hiss that crept into every word, bending the sounds like twisted vines. This was no ordinary speech impediment. Many believed it was a curse, some ancient hex upon the royal bloodline. The legend says that the king's court, fearful of invoking his wrath, began to mimic his lisping speech, imitating the soft, eerie sounds that dripped from his lips like poison. They say the lisp spread like an infection, starting with the nobles, then seeping into the commoners' tongues, and finally swallowing the entire land. It became known as the Castilian lisp, a language haunted by a ghostly sound, forever marking Spanish speech with the king's cursed voice. But there are darker layers to the tale. Some say that those who refused to mimic the king's speech met a horrifying end, found with throats slit, their final words etched in blood. Shadows of resistance were snuffed out like candles, until all that remained was the unnatural lisp echoing through Spain. To this day, in the twisting alleys of old Spanish towns, people claim to hear it. Late at night, when the streets are silent and the air grows cold, you might catch a ghostly hiss, the faint chilling echo of a sound long forgotten but never gone. Some say it's the king himself, his spirit lingering, enforcing his cursed speech on the living. Others believe that the lisp is a specter in the language, an ancient whisper that slips from the mouth of those who speak it, bound to a promise no one remembers making. So, when you hear the peculiar sound of the Castilian lisp, listen closely, for you might just hear a voice from beyond, a phantom king, still whispering, still lingering, haunting the language of his people with every breath. The tragic death of James Dean in 1955 left behind more than just a mournful legacy. It unleashed a malevolent curse tied to his iconic Porsche 550 Spider, nicknamed Metal Bastard. The car, which Dean was driving when he met his untimely death, became the focus of a chilling urban legend. The story goes that anyone who took a piece of the wreckage from Little Bastard was doomed to suffer a horrific fate, usually in a car accident of their own. Mechanics, fans, and even curious onlookers who dared to claim parts of the car, an engine, a tire, a seat, found themselves drawn into a web of death. accidents, eerily similar to Dean's. The curse didn't stop there. The wreckage itself seemed to carry an unrelenting evil. The car, after being sold and resold, was involved in a series of deadly accidents, claiming the lives of those who came too close. In 1959, the car mysteriously vanished from a garage in Los Angeles, further adding to its legend. Some believe it disappeared entirely, as though it had been swallowed by the earth, or worse, taken by a force that would never let it rest. The little bastard seemed to be a malevolent entity, a dark force that claimed anyone unfortunate enough to come into contact with it. The story of the cursed Porsche lives on, a reminder that some tragedies do not simply fade with time. They become warnings, lingering in the shadows, waiting to claim the next victim. If you ever encounter Little Bastard, don't touch it. The curse is waiting. The legend of the Frozen Hill people is one of the most chilling tales to emerge from the snow-covered hills of Bridgewater Corners, Vermont. It dates back to December 21st, 1887, when a poor farming family, isolated by the unforgiving wilderness, disappeared into the bleak winter landscape. Struggling with poverty, the family was forced to endure harsh, unrelenting winters in their humble cabin. But on that fateful winter night, a mysterious cold swept through the hills, colder than anything anyone had ever experienced. Neighbors in nearby settlements spoke strange, bone-chilling howls in the dead of night, and thick, unnatural fog rolling down from the mountains. When a search party finally made its way to the family's cabin, they found something unimaginable. The family, father, mother, and children, were discovered frozen, their bodies eerily preserved in time, as if the cold had stolen their very souls. But it wasn't just the unnatural frost that unnerved the rescuers. It was their faces. The frozen expressions of horror etched into their features seemed to suggest something far worse had happened before their bodies succumbed to the cold. Their eyes were wide open, locked in a silent scream. Some say the family never died, but were trapped in a nightmarish, endless sleep, cursed by an ancient force that still haunts the hills. On moonless nights, locals claim to hear faint whispers carried by the wind, agonized voices of the frozen hill people, waiting for release, their fate sealed by the icy grip of the mountain's curse. The gateway to hell is one of the most chilling urban legends in America, a place where the veil between the living and the damned is said to grow thin. Located in the desolate Stull Cemetery in Kansas, the story tells of an ancient, crumbling church that once stood at the edge of the cemetery until it mysteriously collapsed. But even after its destruction, the legend remained, for beneath the rubble was a set of stairs leading into an abyss that was never meant to be uncovered. On Halloween night and during the spring equinox, it is said that the stairs, cloaked in darkness, become a gateway to the other side. Those brave or foolish enough to descend are said to hear whispers from beyond the grave, as if something or someone is calling from the depths of hell itself. The air grows thick, suffocating with an unnatural chill, pulsing with dark energy. Locals speak of shadows that move on their own, fleeting glimpses of figures watching from the tree line, and an overwhelming sense of dread that grips anyone who dares approach. They say the devil himself walks the grounds of Stull Cemetery, waiting for the next soul to step into the gateway to hell, never to return. And on those cursed nights, the gates are wide open, inviting the lost into the eternal dark. The golem is a terrifying creature, born of ancient myth, a hulking, lumbering monster created from the very earth itself, carved from clay or rock. The golem is a grotesque, humanoid being, its eyes empty and devoid of soul, its body an unfinished mockery of life. According to the legend, it was brought to life by a powerful sorcerer, an attempt to create a protector from the lifeless material. But the golem's immense power and lack of true intelligence led to something far darker. Though clumsy and slow, the golem is a force to be reckoned with, crushing anything in its path with sheer, brute strength. The term golem in modern Hebrew translates to cocoon, an empty, inert vessel, but it can also mean fool, a fitting title for a creature of such monstrous proportions, but limited mind. It has no understanding of the world around it, and with each command it follows, it becomes more dangerous, more erratic. In the shadows of the legend, the golem's uncontrollable rage grows. Its purpose, twisted by the very nature of its creation, its slow, lumbering movements turn violent, its heavy feet causing tremors in the earth as it seeks to fulfill its tasks at any cost. Those who have crossed its path tell stories of its relentless pursuit, of a being without mercy, bound only to the will of its creator. But the true horror lies in what happens when the golem's creator is no longer around to control it. The golem becomes a mindless monster, roaming the earth in search a tale of a young girl who met a tragic end. Her spirit, twisted by death, lingers in the third stall of the girls' restroom, waiting for those brave or foolish enough to call her forth, to summon Hanako-san. You must enter a bathroom, usually on the third floor, where the air is thick with an oppressive silence. Standing in front of the third stall, you must knock 3 times on the door and ask in a trembling voice, "Is Hanako-san there?" If she answers, the door will open, revealing her dark presence, her eyes gleaming with a hollow, unsettling light. But be warned, the moment you speak her name, you are not alone. The temperature will drop, the air will grow heavy, and an eerie, suffocating stillness will consume the room. Some say Hanako's spirit appears as a little girl, dressed in a blood-stained school uniform, her face twisted in a grotesque smile. Others claim she's more sinister, her form shifting into something far darker. Those who have encountered Hanako-san never forget her. Some say she drags her victims into the depths of the bathroom, never to be seen again. Others say she simply watches, waiting as the stall door creaks open, her ghostly voice